Good morning and welcome to morning Maocha. It's a little later in the day than we normally do, but I had some family obligations earlier. But I am excited that you are here. I hope you guys can hear me and the music's not too loud. If it is, let me know and I can make some quick adjustments. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm looking forward to the rest of this week, so I'm happy for you guys to tune in and have a little tea with me. I'm going to show you guys the tea that I got here. This is actually really a special one. Again, Manzhuan. We did Manzhuan last week. Julia3695, good morning to you. Evening for you. Evening for Marina as well. Thai guy, good afternoon. Yeah, it's morning somewhere. So it's 11:30. It's still technically morning, but look at this. Look at these gorgeous leaves. So this is also from Manzhuan, which we had Manzhuan last week, and we're doing Manzhuan as well this week. And because we brewed in silver last time, I'm just in a silver mood, so I'm gonna brew in this this gorgeous little beastie. Look at the nice patina it's got going on the inside of there. Can we see that? Does the light actually show that off? Probably not too well, but pretty nice. One of the fun things about silver teapots that are made like this, so it's a hand hammered texture, and then they actually take it and polish it down, so it creates this really nice like highs and lows kind of thing. And so they actually frost it, right? They kind of like spray it with like a really fine like sand, get it all frosted, and then they polish down the highs, and so the highs would actually create patina, so it gets this really nice like dark scale like texture on there, which is just I think it's super cool. So very excited anytime we get a chance to brew in this. So we kind of save it for special occasions, but it's going to take a little while to get the material into there. Tell you what, while I'm just doing this, I forgot I got to do one quick little Instagram post, get a little promo out, see if anybody else wants to come and join us for a little tea this morning. What are you guys drinking this morning? Michelle, let's see. For whatever reason, YouTube does not like Michelle's comment. So there we go. We're good. That's the coolest teapot. It is a really nice teapot. There was another one that I really wanted, a kettle. It was like a nice kettle about like this big, maybe only like 600, 700 ml or something. But it was had this like cool like bat design, like actually like hammered into it. So one of the interesting things, so this pot here actually, it's technically a little bit cheaper because this the spout was made separately, and it was kind of like silver soldered on. They actually do have the technique and the skill to construct a single teapot from a single piece of silver, and so they actually like punch a hole in the silver, and then they actually like hammer it and shape the whole thing all out of like one piece. Those ones are significantly more expensive just because, because of the amount of work and time it takes. Miss Katstein had a decent weekend, virtual session. That's right, you tuned into the session on Friday. Big gathering, watched tea documentary. Oh, nice, the New York Tea Society. That's great. It's glad that you're hanging out with some cool tea peeps online. One sec, guys. I'm gonna make a quick Instagram live post and be like, hey, come check it out. One of the tricks about my table. It looks so much better if there's just a little water on it. You guys are learning all of my little photo secrets. It just makes it so much shinier and bright and vibrant. There we go. Let's see. All right. It's fall into the danger zone night in Vienna. DJ Pasta the real one. That's a good one. We had I've been drinking Danger Zone all morning already. So I got my pre-funk in. Let's see. Join us live on YouTube right now. It's just the awkward thing is all these Instagram like live things. They're up for 24 hours, so people like 20 hours from now, I'm like, dude, how come you're not live? It's just those are the messages I get in the background, but it's all good. It's people will figure it out. Or maybe I should actually put like the time. Can't you do that? You can do all sorts of stuff in these little Instagram live things, right? There you go. I'm gonna put the time. Then people will know what time it is. Gotcha. Okay, good. We're set. All right, now I can get back to drinking tea and watching the chat. Yeah, these leaves are really gorgeous. All right, so this teapot's all nice and warm. Been getting Figgy Preserve, spending some time with Holy Flame. Holy Flame is really nice stuff. Holy Flame is misleadingly good for the price. It's a feast of an experience. Tell you what, like I've got this box, and I've got it all in that box. And every time you open up that box to take out some more, just like the thick aroma, just like envelops me. So good, really, really, really good stuff. Let's see. Joseph Burton is in the middle of a session with some 2019 La Mana. Excellent choice, guys. There's no point saving the good stuff. This is the time. This is the time. Just get it done. Use it. Drink it. We'll get more good stuff to come. This teapot is a little tricky, especially with Maocha. Let's see. Do I have a serving tray around here? This is good. I always feel awkward dumping my leaves onto the tea table accidentally. It's like they're getting pre-steeped in the table water or something. Yeah, this weekend we kind of played it a little low key. It's technically my birthday weekend, so we kind of had some fun with that. Couldn't really do anything, birthday wise, which is unfortunate. But so I just kind of I like smoking meat. I built a big smoker in the backyard, but I don't get a chance to use it too often. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this day. I'm going to get a bunch of meat and we're going to smoke it. And so invited some of the family over, kind of did the distancing thing in the backyard, just kind of sat around. Technically, I don't even really get a birthday this year. I'm one of those leap babies. So I had my birthday last year, and so I don't get one for another 4 circles around the sun, but it's all good. You still got to celebrate anyways. Thank you for saying happy birthday. Appreciate that. So it was fun. So just kind of got to sit outside all day. It was like, even though it's February, in Seattle, spring is such a nebulous thing. It felt like the first spring day. It was just gorgeous, like all day. It's like sunny and clear and bright and warm, and it just this is not working at all. There's not nearly enough room in this teapot. These things are all like these big giant leaves. We're gonna have to make a tactical decision here, guys. I'm gonna have to do a quick pre-steep, just kind of get that down. And then I'm gonna have to stuff some other stuff in on the second one. This is not going well. It's all good. It's tricky. Marina, your uncle has a meat smoker. I really like it. I just built it out of just cinder blocks, and it's something you got to sit out there all day. We get out there like super early in the morning, and get the fire going. And I've got a bunch of we had chopped down a cherry tree. It's very George Washington of me. Chopped down a cherry tree in our yard that had kind of gotten overgrown, and so smoked it with local cherry wood, and then ran out of cherry and switched to some plum that we had, and it turned out really, really nice. And so everybody in the family brought over some meat the day before, and we got it all seasoned up, tossed into the smoker, and then you just got to sit there and watch it all day long. Make sure the temperatures don't get too high. There we go, another quick little one here. But yeah, it was fun. Lots of fun. So sitting outside, drinking a beer, watching the meat smoke. Just sitting waiting. Any special teas I drank on my birthday? Yeah, late last night, yesterday afternoon, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna break into the danger zone. So I've got a handful of those still around here. So actually, I already drank all of what was our personal supply. So I dipped into one of the for sale ones. So don't tell Lamo. It's now part of the family. But yeah, so that was us. That was our weekend. Just a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a great day. So this is a Guoyoulin. I think some of you know what Guoyoulin is and Guoyoulin means. Guoyoulin basically means like it's kind of similar to nature preserve. It means it more or less means like state owned property. What number birthday was it? 11.25. So I am 11 and a quarter in leap years. And if you're bad at math, you just multiply that by 4. It's 45. 45 today. So yeah, so technically it was my birthday yesterday, but yesterday it wasn't my birthday till today. So there's this tiny sliver of time, like right between 11:59 and 12:00, where it's like, that's it. Like that was my birthday. But I just make people celebrate it on 2 days. Is all it is. So we'll say it's still my birthday, because yesterday my birthday was tomorrow, and tomorrow is today. So, it's the stuff you got to do. I'll tell you what, man, leap years and computer systems, they don't like it. They don't like it. Not a lot of computer systems. You got software developers that think they can write their own date program and date system. They never calculate it right. Here's an interesting thing about leap years. We actually get leap centuries as well. People don't realize that every 400 years there is a leap year, a leap day on that centennial, on that century day. So that means that 1700 didn't get a leap year. 1600 did, 1700 didn't, 1800 didn't, 1900 didn't, and 2000 did. So if I had missed that, it would have been an 8-year span without a birthday. But thankfully, I was born in the right century, so I actually did get one. Otherwise, I'd still be 10. It's a funny thing, the whole concept of it's just this idea that the sun the Earth doesn't go around the sun in a consistent manner that we think of. It's consistent. It's got its own level of consistency. It's just that its own level of consistency doesn't break up perfectly into 365 exact 24-hour days. So we kind of have to fudge it a little bit. I think we can thank the Gregorians for figuring that out. I think they were the ones that came up with that idea. They just kept losing days, losing times and seasons, and all of a sudden, like, what was the coldest month of the year is now in the middle of summer, and they're like, you know what? Something's not quite right with our math. So they just redid it. Leap seconds and minutes are fun as well. So leap seconds, we get leap seconds about every 8 to 12 years, I think. And this is a really, really fun thing. So like the concept of leap second is will absolutely destroy a computer system, because like high-end servers and things. You're thinking like Google level, like network infrastructure. If you lose a second, like all of like your logs are off, like everything is just completely wrong. And so these Google engineers in the early 2000s realized that like a leap second was coming up somewhere around 2006, and they're like, guys, we got to figure this out. And it took a lot of thought. And so what they really came up with, and this is amazing, all of the computer systems collectively ask the network a big like time server on the network. It's like a clock on the wall for network servers, right? So all these network servers are connected together, and they're always asking that clock, what time is it? Hey, what time is it? And they're checking it against their local one. Because computers, if it's not connected to the internet, it's like they do really bad at telling time. They just kind of guess it by how fast the computer's going. Computer's going fast or slow. If you ever like plugged your computer off the internet, you notice that like a day later, like your time is off by a couple minutes or hours. So it's really important for these network servers to always be asking what time it is. And so what they did is they specifically wrote software into the date time server to literally lie all day long by tiny, tiny, tiny microseconds. Just lie just a little bit. It's like, it's not actually this time, it's actually this time plus a few million microseconds. And then by the end of the day, a million of these lies had added up to like one leap second, and they were able to kind of just literally just lie their way through it. I just thought that was the funniest thing. There was no other way to handle it but just to lie about what time it is. It's really funny. Oh, you need you need more caffeine to keep up the conversation. Yeah, that's funny. Good. Get some caffeine in, you guys. We can do a deep dive into the technical details of leap minutes and days and seconds. This is something that I find thoroughly fascinating, because that's just it's critical to my life, I guess. I'm a leap baby, and it's really not even that rare. What is it? What's 4 times 365? I'm really bad at math. I'm going to show it right now. 4 times 365, right? So 1460. 1 in 1,460 people. It's really not that rare, right? But there is some variation around the year about when babies are born and different times of things like that. So, but yeah, something like that. Something like 1 in 1,500. You probably know tons of people that are born on leap year. It's not like you just like walk around asking everybody. How's leap seconds work on the ISS? Well, see, that's an interesting thing, is because like all of our time is specifically based on regulatory standards set about nearly at the end of like the Renaissance. You know, England, the Prime Meridian, the Greenwich Observatory there, those are the ones that like standardized on time. And so the ISS could literally use whatever time it wanted, but it would probably use like Earth real standard. It's my guess. Just GMT 0. So I thought it would be really funny one year to not really funny, but I thought it would be really fun. It started off as a fun thought experiment. It's like, okay, so we know what leap days are. We know how leap days work. You know, we know that the rotation around the sun is not consistent. We know it's like 365 and a quarter days, you know, and so what's that? 6 hours. So 365 days and 6 hours is what it takes to go around the sun. But it got me thinking, it's just like in a given year, like where are those 6 hours, right? We know those 6 hours add up, you know, like 6, 12, 18, 24. And so we know that after 4 years, you get a leap day, right? Rum barrel is not available yet, but it will be soon if you're asking about that. I've just got to, there's a couple other products I want to get onto the site, and so that people can have some other fun options. Got a bunch of really cool Gen to do. It's just taking a while to kind of get it all put together. Anyways, right, so if you're all fully caffeinated, I'll explain like where in the year these 6 hours come from. So my thought was like, well, if those 6 hours are spread out on every single day, then that means like every single day for like a few minutes, it's my birthday, right? That's what I was thinking. So I was trying to, my thesis, my conjecture was that it's my birthday every day for a couple minutes. So I thought that was kind of fun, and so I started doing a deep dive into that. Turns out it's far more complicated than that. It's also more inconsistent in that 24 hours is not the actual, that's what we call a day, but a day is actually, can be entirely nebulous depending on how you define a day. You know, like is a day one full rotation from like noon to noon? That's what we say there's a day, right? So 24 hours, you know, like noon to noon, and you would define noon by like a flagpole. If there's no shadow, it's noon. The next time, no shadow, it's noon. So that's a day defined by the sun, right? That's a solar day. Well, you can actually have non-solar days where you define like the rotation by where the position of a star is. And so that's actually interesting because that actually changes depending on like where you are around the sun. So well, let's just stick with like solar days, right? So a solar day is like flagpole, 0 shadow, spin around, 0 shadow. That's not exactly 24 hours. And sometimes it can vary by as much as like 15 to 20, 25 minutes. So it can actually be a day can actually from 0 to 0, right? From 0 shadow to 0 shadow. In some cases can be like 23 hours and 40 minutes or 24 hours and 20 minutes, right? So there's this huge gap, and that's where it is. And the funnest part for me about it was that it's not, it depends on the season, right? So actually this time of year, we have less, it takes less time. So it's like 23 hours or something like that, 23 hours and 40 minutes. And so basically what I was able to figure out is like the end of summer and fall, it's my birthday for maybe 10 or 15 minutes every day. So that was my ultimate realization, is like that's where the 6 hours gets added up into 5, 10, 15 minute chunks every day for the end of summer and autumn. So there you go. I hope you guys were caffeinated enough for my my fun explanation of leap days. Anyways, I think I'm finally yeah, it's easier for me to do morning Maocha at this time than it is at 9 o'clock. It's a lunchtime tea stream, sure, Ziaxio. Gary had a like a kids gymnastics class, and we haven't taken him to nearly anything since he was born, just because of all the COVID stuff. And so we finally found a small gymnastics class, and so I decided it was his first class today. I would skip the super early morning Maocha and I'd take him to that. But next week, I think Lam will just take him by himself, and then I can do the morning Maocha. But Yeah, make a tea about the mysterious 6 hours, the Mystery 6. DJ Pasta, the real one. Nuclear clock is used to measure time. Yes, exactly. Because and Xiaxio can probably answer this a little bit better than I can, but it is very, 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 very reliable. The amount of the amount of decay in a nuclear elements, and so it's a very, very, very reliable to measure that from one spot to the next. And so nuclear clocks are only wrong or they only need to be adjusted like once every 500 years or something like that. But Xiaxio is really good. Xiaxio actually collects radioactive elements. He's a mineralogist, geologist, rockhound person, so he's got a fun collection of stuff. But yes, that's a very, very, very scientific measurement. And we needed stuff like that to be able to do other stuff. We figured that out back in 1600s when, you needed very accurate timekeeping pieces that could actually work on a boat. You think about, like pendulums and things. Like, how does a pendulum clock work on a boat if things are rocking? It just it messes everything up. So they had to design clocks, timekeeping devices that were set to Greenwich Mean Time that could actually work on a boat as it's rocking around. Because then if you had that time and you knew what time it was in Greenwich, and you could measure the sun and measure the stars and do all that stuff with your sextants and things, then you could make all the calculations and figure out exactly where you were, like latitude, longitude in the world, which became super, super important. It ties right into the tea trade. Because of their accurate map keeping and naval capabilities, they were able to get tea back from China in like less than 3 months in those clipper ships. It's super impressive. Miss Katstein, some defines days the time you wake up to the time you sleep. When you sleep becomes tomorrow. Yeah, pretty much. Gemma's fascinated when we were waking her up to go to a preschool a month ago, and it was like still dark out. And she's like, I went to bed at nighttime. You guys woke me up at nighttime. We're like, it's technically morning, but it's still dark out. But she was really excited. So she keeps asking us, like, are you guys gonna wake me up at nighttime again? It's like, well, I can't because it's because the sun is up. Sun is up already. Xiaxio, GPS satellites have nuclear clocks in them because of the same principles Einstein discovered, where speed is related to time. Yeah, that's where stuff gets really really interesting and complicated. So that's awesome. I didn't know that each satellite had a nuclear clock on it, but that totally makes sense. You can actually get radio receivers that will receive signals from the nuclear facilities that manage time, which is kind of cool. I mean, now we do it all with computers and stuff, but it used to be kind of cool. You could get like a nuclear clock for your bedroom, and it didn't have nuclear material in it, but it like received like radio signals from the actual nuclear research facilities and stuff, which I always thought was pretty cool. Although they were selling them at my local store 10 or 15 years ago, before everyone was getting time updates on the internet. And I thought it was really funny because they had a whole array of them and they all had different time. I just thought it's not the best advertisement for, like nuclear clock, and every single one you're selling is different. Satellites are moving back in time like every second a year. That's just crazy. That's where things gets crazy. Speaking of like really interesting, concepts of like time and time shifting and changing and time being relative and whatnot. Isaac Asimov's series, the Thousand Years War. It's about this war that's fought in space for 1,000 years, and the whole story is one guy who's in the war for 1,000 years, but it just so happens that he's always on some ship getting transferred to like the next place he's got to fight, and because of the time delay during faster than light travel, like the first fight he's in is at year 0, and then the next fight he's in is like 100 years into the war, but the whole time he's not aging more than 10 years in this span. So it's kind of a fun concept to think about when you get to faster than light travel. It's crazy. We're going mega nerdy, guys. Mega nerdy on the tea tasting this morning. Tea conversation. I haven't even hardly talked about this tea. I was going to mention Guoyoulin. Guoyoulin means more or less means like nature preserve, but realistically what it is just, you know, a Chinese state-owned property. You know, like there's nobody who actually owns it. And the state specifically like sets apart like portions of the country to be more like preserves. It's similar to like a national park or something like that, but it's not really touristy in that respect. And so the Chinese government will move people in and out of areas often. You'll have some village in some area, and the Chinese government will be like, "Hey, tell you what, you know, like you guys go and take, you know, we're gonna replace you guys because we're gonna turn this into, you know, a national park." And so they'll actually move that whole village. But sometimes historically, those people have lived there for a really long time, and they may have been cultivating tea. I know Yiwu has a really large Guoyoulin where there's tons of old growth tea trees in there, which people have been harvesting for, you know, many generations. But now the villagers have moved out because the state wanted them to move out, so the villagers move out someplace else. But the villagers are still given the right to pick in that nature preserve once or twice a year if they're actually in a certain village that was tied to people who were raised in there. And that's actually kind of interesting. If you, excuse me, we've got one video that we posted a couple years ago from the Yiwu Guoyoulin, and you should check out that video. It's in our YouTube Tea Travels collection. Maybe it was 2018, I think. We went into the Yiwu Guoyoulin. Guoyoulin. That's a tough one. Somebody else can spell it. It's in the title of this thing. Guoyoulin. Guoyoulin. It's a tough word. So I actually take a couple. I've got a guide that takes me on a hike back up into the Guoyoulin, which is really cool. One of the definite highlights of that year was getting to actually go into the Yiwu Guoyoulin, because it's a pretty good drive. You had to drive a pretty good distance, like 10 or 15 miles from the village, and then it's just like this winding dirt road that ends at a river. And we actually had to like walk across the river, you know, hike up our pants, take our socks and shoes off, kind of walk across the river, put everything back on, and then hike 2 or 3 miles, like way up into the mountains. And it's tricky. That's deep, jungly, snake-infested areas. We didn't see any snakes though, which was nice. We get way up there, and there you go, like there you're now in the Guoyoulin. It's just super gorgeous, like really impressive. So check out that video if you guys want to see what a Guoyoulin looks like. It's just like a wild forest, but then there's just tea trees everywhere. It's really cool. And I'm glad I filmed that video that year, because the next year the Chinese government actually outlawed foreigners from entering Yunnan Guoyoulin. So I wouldn't be able to actually go back. I can still buy the Guoyoulin material. It's super good. It's just really, really good material. I could still buy the Guoyoulin material, but I can't actually go there. Even if I was there, they wouldn't let me into the Guoyoulin. So I'm really glad that I had that chance to do it, and I was able to film it and document it for posterity. So Manzhuan, a couple hours drive away outside of Yiwu, one of the original 6 famous mountains, is also has some nature preserve, old growth tea material areas, and so we bought a little bit of it, you know, maybe a kilo or two. Thought it was really nice. I think the Yiwu Guoyoulin is much better, but this is also, it's a very nice tea. It's slightly a little bit more savory right now, but it's got a lot of good botanical aromatics and stuff. It's very it's got some nice floral notes. It's very nice tea, relatively thick. I enjoy it a lot. And we actually made this available in single session samples, and I might do that again as well. I've got like half a kilo less. It's half a kilo or less, or something like that. It's more fun to share. Actually, what is it? That's it. That's all I got. All I got left of this material. So that's actually maybe just a couple 100 grams. So I might put this stuff back up on the site. It's fun to it's more fun to share. More fun to share this stuff. No point me just hoarding it all like some tea dragon. Jose Hernandez, you need to live in a better time zone. Keep missing the live episodes. What is your time zone? Where do you live? I mean, clearly you made it to this live stream. I try to balance them out a little bit. I had intended to have this one earlier in the morning, but couldn't do it. So glad it still worked out. At least started it in the morning. Miss Cat's Teen, yeah, we can definitely sell some of it, but I'll probably try and get some of it on the site. I'll take what I got here, put it into 8-gram sample bags, and just kind of see how much we have. It's just a really nice material. And yeah, 2018 Manzhuan, love that name. It's just fun to say, Manzhuan Guoyoulin. Yeah, we try to stagger our live streams around a couple different time zones. So we'd like to do a morning one, I like to do an afternoon one, and then I was doing the midnight tea club for a while, but that just killed me, guys. I gotta admit, it was that just threw my whole weekend schedule into a wild whack. So I don't know if we'll be doing any more of the midnight tea clubs. I don't know. I really enjoyed it though. I'll think about it. Maybe again. Central Time. You're just goofing off at work. Oh, okay, all right. So it's just a work thing. Well, I'm glad you got a chance to check it out. Do I currently have any Bingdao? You had it once and liked it. I don't. Bingdao's a bit of a game. It's really expensive stuff, and I've not actually had a chance to go to Bingdao recently. So if we were sourcing any Bingdao material, I'd have to be trusting who I got it from. And if we actually get to Bingdao, I'll be more than happy to pick some stuff up. But in the meantime, since we can't get to China, we're working with existing contacts that we've got in farms that we've been to and visited and know and understand. Bingdao stuff's also just pretty expensive. I mean, it's good. It's really good, but I think for the money, you can generally find stuff that's a better deal for the budget. If that makes sense. But Bingdao is good stuff. Evening Maocha, Miss Cat's Teen. Yeah, we could do. Well, we kind of yeah. It's what we do is what do we got? The afternoon ones are usually about 2:30 p.m. and that ends up being about like 5:30, East Coast kind of time. So that actually is kind of evening-ish, depending on where you are. But it also depends on our schedule and stuff like that. But this week we have Tea for Me, Please. Nicole from Tea for Me, Please is going to be on our Between Two Teapots live stream interview session. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys know Tea for Me, Please. I'm sure you guys do. I mean, the tea blogging world and the tea consuming world is pretty close knit. But if you guys don't know who Tea for Me, Please is, go to teaformeplease.com. She's a really awesome, longtime tea blogger. I'm super excited to have her on. I messaged her about a month ago and wanted to see if she wanted to come on, and she was more than happy to do it. So we're going to be drinking Daydream, which is one of our sheng pu'er teas. I think it's also from 2018. So it got some artwork by Stasia Burrington on it. So Daydream is really nice blend, and it's one of it's a favorite tea of Nicole's. So she's going to be brewing that up. I'm going to be brewing it up. We're going to have a combo session. Really excited about that. Let's see, Ruben K. Do you get to Pasha-shan? I've been to Pasha-shan a handful of times. Pasha-shan has some really interesting material as well. I've not actually bought any material from Pasha-shan because it's pretty pricey. I find a lot of material that I really like, but running a business, you kind of have to do this. You gotta have to do this balance game. I mean, I would be more than happy to only buy like super expensive material, but then like all of the cakes on our site would end up being, like $150, $200. And some of those places, I just really think that it's, unless something is really super stand out at that price, I just feel a little guilty trying to have to convince people to buy like those really expensive teas when I think you can probably dollars per gram get some significant experiences at other mountains, but it all depends. Yeah, we've never actually bought and sold any Pasha-shan material, primarily just because it was just a little bit too expensive. Ultramag, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining us. Otilac, yeah, it depends on the definition. Some would say Iwu is overpriced because of the hype fame. Some would say it's worth it. What I know is there's not as much Bingdao produced. Iwu is really large. Iwu is very large growing area. And Iwu is also one of the original 6 famous mountains. Like they've been producing tea for like the imperial court for like hundreds of years. It's what's the term for that? I can't remember. But yeah, so they've got Iwu is dense with really amazing stuff. And there are areas in Iwu that are incredibly expensive, but there's also areas in Iwu that have really, really good, good price for performance, dollars per gram. There's some really, really interesting opportunities in Iwu, but there's also some really, really expensive Iwu stuff as well. But Bingdao's much smaller. Bingdao tends to trend at the higher end of the pricing perspective. So, and it's funny, once you get into those areas where everything is like super, super, super expensive, limited production, really high-end stuff. The higher end it is, the more expensive it is, the more limited it is, the more BS you find. Let's say Bingdao in total for the village produces, I don't know, just like let's just say like 1,000 kilos of super high-end gushu in a given picking. So let's say first spring picking, 1,000 kilos. I'm not sure what it is. It's probably a lot more than that. Maybe like 10,000 or something. You talk to enough vendors, and they're like, yeah, I bought 2,000 kilos, and the other guy's like, yeah, I bought 5,000 kilos. You start writing down, taking notes, adding it up, and it always adds up to like 5 times like what the production of that place is. So a lot of people are just lying about it. So, how's the price of tea determined? Supply, demand. What determines quality? Yeah, that's a huge conversation. That's a huge topic. Supply and demand does play into it significantly, and that can be thoroughly manipulated through marketing. People in Bingdao have been working really hard to market their tea, but at the same time, their tea has to stand up to it. But a lot of it is still kind of marketing hype. Quality is a little bit more easily determined just with some like nuts and bolts of like flavor and aroma and like taste, and it can be somewhat objective. You can like look at the leaf and see whether the leaf itself was produced with quality. But then the ultimate experience depends significantly on terroir, on what the season was like. But even still, like, some place like Bingdao, you get enough people that like it and you don't have as much material, they can pretty much put whatever price they want on it. And a lot of times, like the farmers have like sort of like farmer unions and farmer collectives where they'll sit there and like have a discussion on, like how much they should sell stuff for. And sometimes the farmers will like hold back and they won't sell, until like enough demand is there, and then they'll try and sell. It's similar to how, like things and stuff are, like farmer materials are sold in the US and stuff like that. Like there's a game, and one of the games is around the first spring rain, like the Qingming, like the stuff sold before the rain is always much more expensive because it tastes better. It's arguably better quality material, because as soon as the rains come, like the trees just start like producing tons and tons of stuff, and it's almost like it literally like waters it down. So there's this interesting window where the farmers are going to try and hold their material as long as they can to get the value and the demand as high as they can. But if they wait too long and the rains come, like the price of it can actually like drop like significantly, because now the buyers come in and they're like, I'm not going to pay for that because it's after the rains. And they're like, yeah, I picked it before the rains. And they're like, yeah, that's what everybody says, And so they kind of like there's this window if you hold your stuff as long as possible, and then if you wait too long, it's like, oops, the rains come and now like nobody wants to buy your material because they don't trust that it was actually made before the rain. It's kind of an interesting gambit that some of the farmers play. And sometimes there's farmers have existing relationships with larger factories where the farmers have to produce everything for that factory. The factory pays them ahead of time, and so those farmers don't really have to worry about playing that game, you know. And so they get a very reliable like money amount per year. But then that also means that they don't get to, you know, like play the game. Maybe they can sell it like higher for like an individual buyer who might come in and stuff like that. So it's a big thing over there. It's a big industry, and I'm not as in tuned or really even a part of a lot of those types of decisions. You know, I just try and find, you know, like interesting materials that fit the budget that we're hoping for, and I kind of look at the material itself and ascertain its quality for myself and figure out if it's worth the price that they're asking. And sometimes if it's not, you know, I'll try and work out a deal with the farmer. Maybe I'll buy more of it and see if they'll bring the price down a little bit. But generally, I try to stick as close to what the farmers are asking as possible, because, you know, they've worked hard for it. So, but funniest tea marketing I've seen. Funniest tea marketings I see are on Facebook. You know, when you've got people from China who've, you know, are, you know, using Facebook against the demands of the Chinese government, right? So they use a VPN. They come in, they log on to Facebook. Their English is really good, but sometimes they don't entirely translate words correctly. In the like the word chi, you know, the cha chi, the tea energy. If you really think about it, energy can be defined in a lot of different ways. You know, like natural gas, natural oil, it's all energy producing. And so one of the translations that some of the software does, it translates tea as literally as gas, right? Well, gas is an energy. But you'll see people marketing their tea. It's like, guys, man, you guys got to try some of this tea. It gives you the best gas. And they'll just like be going on about it. And like, you'll get people like comments like, really? Like, are you sure? Like, your tea was going to give me gas? It's just like, yeah, it's great. It's like the best feeling in the world. It's like other people, like, you know, like their teas aren't going to give you gas like our tea gives you. It's just I just find that super funny. They just keep like, yeah, dude, my tea gives you the best gas. It's just like, well, you know, maybe you meant something else. But in China, they don't have restrictions like the FDA. You know, like the FDA actually works really hard to regulate what you can and can't say about tea. And in China, they'll give you just like a huge like laundry list of things. You know, like, oh, this tea cures that. This tea cures that. You know, cures baldness, cures cancer, but only if it's our tea. Because if you guys, the other guy's tea, it was produced wrong, and so that's going to be detrimental to your health if you have this tea that was stored there. You've got to have our tea that was stored here. You know, like, look at these scientific reports that I did, but then they actually like paid to have the scientific reports made. And it's just like it's just meaningless. You just see all sorts of nonsense. So you just kind of have to look past it. It's like, oh, right, okay, good job. It's like, you're like, yeah, sure, that's great. I totally get it. Yes, your tea's amazing. And then they're very, very, very proud of that. Jose Hernandez, lately you've been tempted to try some aged or mid-aged pu'er. Will you be adding any new cakes in that category to your store? See, that's tricky because that has to do with teas that we didn't produce. And so I think the last one that we added was a 2007 Changtai Tocha. I don't know if you've tried this. Like $20 for 100 grams. Like, you just can't go wrong. It's such a great deal. It's tricky because that stuff is hard to source. Sometimes you don't know like where it was aged, how it was aged, and you know, you kind of like every single tea that we've produced, like, I know how it was made, I know where it was made, I know how it's been stored, so I can answer all the questions. The rest of it's like, okay, you know. So I mean, something has to be really stellar, and so that's why we only have like a handful of 2000 Old Warrior. I really like that material. Sold out of the Nando Mini mushrooms. I had a ton of those. That was from like the early 2000s. 2000 Changtai Memorial, 2007 Chocha, 2005 Top of the Clouds, which we still have some of, but we're not selling that one on the site right now. We're just kind of like letting it age, see where it goes. But yeah, so I don't have any. Oh, I guess we got the 2005 Troublemaker as well, which is interesting. It's also really good stuff, but it depends on what I find, and it's much easier to do when I'm there. If I'm not actually there, which we couldn't get there last year, we can't get there this year, so we're kind of having to change things up a little bit, just focusing more on production that we have more quality control over, I guess. Thai guy, which of my teas gives you the best gas? Altered State, hands down. Gassiest tea we got. Lucifagus ordered some Altered State yesterday to experiment on energy. Nice, that's cool. Let me know what your feedbacks on that are. If you're a creative type person as well, I'm always curious how tea and tea energy ties into the creative process. There's a handful of teas that are more or less my muse. Like when I need to like come up with some new design or new name, I just get like super drunk on one of these teas and just kind of scribble down everything that comes to my mind, and then stuff can kind of like come out from that, which I'm pretty excited about. Adelac got a job writing some simple articles about tea. Cool, congratulations. Welcome to the tea writing world. Health benefits are so hard. Yes, it mostly avoid it. It's smart. So as you as a tea writer are free from the legal restrictions that a company who's selling tea is under. So the FDA will very seriously shut down companies that make unprovable health claims about tea, and so we just don't do it at all. So I let people, go to Google, do your research, figure it out, like make your own decisions. If you think tea is healthy for your life, talk to your doctor about it, but I'm not going to come out there and give any medical advice. And people are always like, they're like, well, you can tell me. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm really not. Like, I don't want to mess with the FDA. Like, I don't want to get sued. So, and I am specifically, you yourself should be specifically wary of any tea company that actually comes out there and says, this is what the health claims are. This is what our tea will do for you. It's just like, they're doing that outside of the guidelines of the FDA, and they probably shouldn't. It was really awkward, like last February, a year ago, as COVID stuff started coming around. You started to see a huge host of like articles like coming out and all like the Facebook tea groups and stuff like, hey, like this tea cures COVID, like do this, do that. And I was just like, man, like I really rarely jump into those conversations, but I was messaging the moderators. I was like flagging all those. I'm like, you guys, no, don't even start. Don't even get that train started. Like that is the last thing that the industry needs, is the negative press behind, tea companies like pushing their product as like a COVID cure. I was just like, no. It's just like, yes, do your, scientific, double blind studies or whatever. Find actual proof that it does that first before you just like shove out some garbage article about that just to sell some tea. I was just like, I get pretty upset about companies that do that. I think it's pretty bad. Don't do it, tea companies. Yeah, so just Adelaide, you can talk about your own personal experiences with tea. Absolutely, yes. Pu'erh feels great after a big meal. I can certainly tell that it is doing things digestively, but as soon as I start making like absolute claims, or any company starts doing that, no. But yeah, speak about your experiences, write your experiences down. Other people may have similar experiences, but people also might not. Thai Guy's got a sample of Top of the Clouds. Just had some a few days ago. Still very good. Sweet apricot. I know. I love that sweet apricot. So you got a bit of smoke from yours. Nice. It's just, for me, it's like that apricot huaigan, that apricot like aftertaste. It just like sits so thick in the throat. Like 2, 3, 4 hours after a session. Like every time you clear your throat, you can just like taste the tea all over again. So I love it. Found it in your box of fun. It's nice to have a box of fun tea, a fun tea box. Audriana Foster's not a big stickler about organic and whatnot. Drink so much tea that if I don't know the origin, can't dig into terroir info, I'm hesitant to drink. 100% appreciate your knowledge of origins. So the concept of organic is also a really awkward thing in the tea industry, and it's not really something I talk about a lot. There's so many different definitions of organic, and there's like no one definition that everybody uses and sticks to, but everyone still uses that term organic, and every single customer in their head has a different idea of what organic means. Like right now, when you think of organic, you probably have a different definition than maybe what the actual definition of organic is for whatever certification was available for that group. And so you know, you really have to look into like what does organic mean. If a tea is being sold, you know, like as a certain, you know, like certification, if it's got a certain thing, you know, like go to that certification's website and figure out like what their definition of organic actually is, because every single one can be entirely different. And one of the tricks is a lot of the organic definitions are tied specifically to like full control of soil cultivation. And so that means like all of the soil has to be certified organic before anything in it can be certified organic. And for pu'er, like you need like 30 to 50-year-old trees before it really starts to get decent. Who was using certified organic soil 50 years ago? Nobody. Like, so anybody like trying to sell like 100% organic pu'er, like what are they selling? Like, because I guarantee you that they didn't grow that unless it's just simple, you know, like bush trees, which may have, you know, decent material, but specifically anybody selling like organic old tree material, there's no way. Like there's no way organic soil was used 200 years ago. Like it's just not possible. Now it could be grown and treated with, you know, like organic methods, you know, like maybe they didn't use pesticides, they didn't use fertilizers, they didn't use herbicides and stuff like that. So they're practicing it continuously in an organic manner. But it still won't meet the definition of organic by most of the organizations. So it's just like there's a lot of fudging around, and especially in China, like they'll tell you everything's organic just because they just want to hear that. So it's just, I don't know, it just gets awkward. Jose Hernandez, yes, absolutely try the chocha. Like, yeah, $20 for 100 grams on that. The other one's actually super nice as well. The 2003. The 2003 is one of my best favorite aged teas right now. Yes, Adelac, I'm a tea drinker, not a doctor. Damn it, Jim. Awesome. Simon's got some ceramic stuff from Mark arriving today. So exciting. Tea box. You got to do some unboxing videos. Can't wait to try it out. I actually have one of Mark's cups right now that I'm drinking out of. Expected random, having a big show after the big meal right now. That's nice. Good. Do that. It feels good. I actually kind of go the other way. It's kind of funny. I'll do big long like tea tastings, like multiple like 2, 3, 4, 5 hour tea tastings where I'm like not eating, and then like after that I just get so hungry. I call it the shungry. So I'm like, I just want like a giant burger and fries. I just have this deep craving to just fill my belly with like super dense food. So I kind of end up doing it the other way. I don't drink tea after meals as much. I eat meals after tea. I don't know what that means health-wise. I'm not going to make any claims. Tagad, sweet apricot is a dragon that I keep chasing. Haven't found much that matches it. It's so good. I love that sweet apricot. It was the Changtai Top of the Clouds. That was the first one where I was just like, oh man, that's just so good. Just those thick stone fruit aftertaste. It just stayed there for hours and hours. It was great. Adriana, sorry, they will be in Polish. I'm writing for a new small shop, nothing too fancy, but damn, you can imagine how much fun writing about tea. I spent the whole day today on it. It feels wonderful. That's great, man. I really like that you've gotten the chance to find your niche in the tea world. That's exciting. It's very exciting. It's I hope you can, you know, keep that passion alive, you know, for multiple years. I think it's sometimes it's easy for people to kind of get a little burnt out. That's why we've the bloggers and stuff that we've had on are generally like the long-term bloggers and things. And so they do, you know, tea writing for multiple years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years now and stuff. And so it'll be interesting. Tea for Me, please, specifically. She does a lot of she's talked on panels and at the like World Tea Expo on blogging. And that's one of the bigger questions is like how do you keep that passion alive for, you know, like multiple years? How do you keep writing? Because you see a lot of blogs like come up and like do a ton of content for like a month, and then they're just gone. It's sometimes it's hard because like you feel like you've already written about something, but then you have to find a way to kind of continue writing about some of the same ideas and keep it passionate and keep it alive and keep people interested. It's a tough challenge. So, but good on you for finding something else. Adriana Foster, organic to me isn't important. Your explanation is right on point, but the tea, the area the tea comes from and how polluted or not polluted it is more concerned. Don't want to drink the heavy metals. No, you're absolutely right. And realistically, when it comes down to it, I am not specifically concerned about whether a tea is marketed or labeled as organic. And that's an awkward thing to say, but like the caveat is like, how it's made, where it's made, what the tea actually is significantly important to me. But I'm not going to really want to focus on label chasing, I guess, if that's I don't know. I don't want this gets such a kind of like an oddly political thing. I don't want to like say something wrong and people are like, oh my gosh, Crimson Lotus Tea like wants to put pesticides and everything. It's like, no, I don't. I'm very, 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 very particular about the teas that we pick and choose and the farmers that we work with. And I think it's more important to act. I think at the end of the day, like I want a tea that I want a tea that tastes good. I want a tea that has a good experience. And the teas that are produced in quality ways, the teas that are produced organically can produce that, but I'm not going to buy a tea that is certified organic if it doesn't taste any good. You know, it's like, and you also, you know, you look back at, you know, like the best pu'er teas in history, you know, like there's teas that sell for hundreds, thousands of dollars from like the 80s. Like, were those certified organic? Those are arguably some of the best pu'er ever. And like people are going to still buy it and pay for it because those teas are actually good. There's no way that those teas were made organically. So there's this interesting balance. You know, like I like to say, like the proof is in the cup. You know, I've had a lot of teas in China where I as soon as I drank it, I was just like, no, there's no way. No, this isn't good. This was not made in the way that I want to drink teas. And I'll just at tea tastings, I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to drink any more of that tea. It just doesn't feel healthy. And I'm not going to try and like convince you that like, you know, like my palate can test pesticides at certain levels or whatnot. But I certainly know and listen to my body. And I encourage all of our customers to do the same thing, even with our teas. You know, like if you're drinking one of our teas and it doesn't make you feel good, like listen to your body. You know, I mean, communicate that to me. Send me an email. Let me know what you think about the tea, and you know, maybe we can work out a deal to get it replaced or something like that. But yeah, I don't want to ever, you know, force people to believe that, you know, like our teas are always perfect for every situation. Definitely listen to your body and make your own decisions about what teas work for you and what ones don't. And yeah, because that's what we do. And I've had a handful of teas over there. It's just like you're just like, nope, this isn't good. You know, they'll swear up and down that it's organic. They'll throw out all this paperwork, bring out piles of certified documents and stuff. And I'm like, it starts to just make me feel bad. My throat starts to get all scratchy and itchy, and it just starts making me feel uncomfortable, get a headache. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't care how many certifications you got. I'm not gonna buy this tea from you because it just doesn't taste any good. Mart, how fast do you think sheng can catch the aroma and smell of its surroundings? Probably much quicker than you would realize. Tea is a sponge. You know, like do an experiment. Like take something like super, super aromatic, like a bunch of vanilla beans or vanilla leaf or something like that. Take a closed container, toss in, you know, like 500 grams of some sheng you don't like super care about, throw in some vanilla beans or something, seal it up for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. See what it is. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how quickly sheng can take on local aromas. And it also how long it takes to get rid of those aromas. If you've stored something incorrectly or you stored it with something else, it can keep those aromas for like a really, really long time. Shengris, expected random. Take it, steal it, use it. I get the shengris a lot. Long 3-4 hour session with that. It's just like, oh man, like I just want just a big, giant, juicy burger. We used to do that when we would have, we used to do tea tastings every Friday afternoon down at Phoenix Tea in Burien. And like one of my favorite like burger / sandwich joints, kind of like a burger more sandwich, more like a sandwich bar is was like a block away from where Phoenix Tea is. I can't remember the name of it. Smarty Pants. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are from Seattle. Smarty Pants is kind of like a cafe, racer, motorcycle bar sandwich place. Just like the best sandwiches in Seattle, like hands down. It's like so good, so good. And so we would drink sheng for like 5 or 6 hours straight, and I'd be so hungry. Just like we'd walk down the street and I'd just get the biggest sandwich possible. So good. I miss those days. Those were a lot of fun before we had kids. Kind of changes things. Any show I recommend from our store? Something not too squid-y. Yes. Well, we don't have any of the squiddy show. It depends. The scale runs pretty wide. Cloudy Days is really nice, super straightforward. Road trips pretty decent. Road trips pretty decent. Old Warrior, if you want something on the aged end, Old Warrior really feels like a long aged sheng. Old Warrior is a really special stuff. You can get up into the higher end stuff. Black Gold, Stormbreaker, if your tastes are going that way. Maybe grab the pu'erh sample pack and kind of get a taste for it that way. Xiaxio, China has a lot of metal refineries and coal power plants that belch out arsenic, cadmium, lead, antimony, mercury, etc. You definitely want to be as far upwind of them as possible. Yes, you absolutely do. Thankfully, Yunnan is fairly large industry free at this point in time. That's starting to change somewhat as China realizes that the entire eastern part of the country is getting stricter and stricter and stricter on like what new factories can make. Those restrictions aren't entirely in Yunnan right now, and Yunnan wants the industry, and they're like, sure, come here, pollute our skies. And there's a lot of people who have been in Yunnan, for 10, 15, 20 years producing tea and stuff, and they'll tell you that things are smoggier now than they used to be, and that's unfortunate. We do specifically try to buy from farms that are further or furthest up on the mountains. Makes a big difference when you're talking about like water runoff and washing and stuff. If you've got one of the specific ones, one of the problems in the Iwu area is they grow a lot of rubber trees. There's just tons and tons and tons of rubber trees, and you don't need organic rubber, right? I mean, nobody's gonna like buy like organic certified like Goodyear tires. Like nobody cares about that. So you can put whatever you want in it. Like pesticides, herbicides, anything, because you're just like trying to get that production up. If you've got like a tea garden that's down the hill from a rubber plant, it's all just going to wash like straight down into that. So you could have like a fully 100% organic certified pu'erh tea garden, but if it's downhill from that, you're just getting it all washed down in there. So driving around, you're looking at that, you're like, well, I don't really know if we even need to spend time talking to that farmer. You feel really bad because he may not have control over what gets produced up above him, So it's much harder to regulate what blows in on the wind, but it's actually not. Yeah, you can have some tea gardens, like 5 miles away from a rubber plantation. Pesticides will actually blow on the wind all the way over there, and then they'll fail their pesticide test. The farmer sat there, worked super super hard, made his stuff like as organically as he possibly could, like no pesticides, no herbicides, and then he'll take his material, bring it in to have it tested. Fails, and what can he do? It's like he didn't even use it, but that's a tough thing. Favorite teapot shape, Skull Kid? I'm somewhat fond of our tall Shipio. This is a shape that we kind of worked with the teapotters to kind of come up with. The regular Shipio shape is more. It's more squattier like this. It's more angular and triangular. But I like this because it just gives like a really big open mouth. If you guys were here at the beginning, watch me trying to fill this thing up. It took forever to get Maocha into there. I like this shape. It really comes down to personal preference. I'm not entirely convinced that a shape, at least for pu'er, really plays a role in the experience. I just don't have the experience on that. Some people will swear that it does. I've not really noticed that, so I don't know. I'm kind of the jury's out on that for me. So I say pick the shape that you like, and just start brewing with it and have some fun. Lucy Wu, Australian pies too. We need to go out to Burien. So yes, Lucy knows Burien. She knows what I'm talking about. Lucy, thank you for joining us. Yes, so we would start off the day with the Australian meat pie shop, which was awesome. I don't know what it is about this pies with meat inside of them. I just love it. Love it, absolutely love it. So we would get like a bunch of meat pies from the Australian Pie Company. We'd have those for lunch. We'd go down, do a tea tasting, 5 or 6 hours, and then we go down to Smarty Pants and have our nice big mega meal after that. But yes, Lucy knows. Yeah, Burien, the Burien strip right down there. It's got some pretty tasty stuff. And we had those. We had these like, stamp cards for the Australian Pie Company. And it turned out that Friday was double stamp day, so that was pretty great for us. We'd get like 4 meat pies, get 8 stamps, and so every other week we were getting like free pies. It only takes 10, so good. They've got like big like take-home pies, bake at home, big giant like Australian meat pies. Oh, so good. If you guys are ever in the Seattle area, go down to Burien. Australian Pie Company. Is this still there? Is it still open? Love it. Oh, Ruben K, how do you politely decline saving face and such? So awkward. I don't know. I'm not super great on it. I just kind of, I don't know, they kind of give foreigners a little bit of a leeway because foreigners are just going to be dumb and stupid anyways. So I'll just be like, yeah, I don't want any more of that tea. And they're fine with it. Miss Cassine, let me know if you got on a Phoenix tea again, live nearby. Yeah, we don't have any tea tastings planned because we're not really doing live tea tastings, hence virtual tea tastings, which have filled the gap. But if we ever do a tea tasting down that way, we will for sure let you know. Adelac, Old Warrior is a beautiful name for a show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I like that name a lot. A friend of mine, Vietnam War veteran that I've known forever, that was kind of like his nickname for a long time, Old Warrior. And so I just we had that tea and it just made me think of him for some reason. I'm like, dude, we're going to call this tea Old Warrior. And it actually works out really nice. The characters look really good. And so the wrappers for Old Warrior, Lamu is actually handwriting like every single wrapper with her amazing Chinese calligraphy skills. So that was kind of a fun addition. Since we're not in China right now and she didn't make up enough wrappers before we left, it actually has a big stamp right now. But many of the Old Warrior was all handwritten by Lama, which is pretty impressive. Rubber, tea's greatest enemy, greater enemy. Yeah, you're right. Ziaxio, ozone is pretty bad for plants and are a big byproduct of some manufacturing facilities. Yeah, it's pretty awkward, especially East Coast China, like the tea stuff that's produced over there. I have no idea how any of that stuff ever gets certified organic. Even like Longjing, like I see certified organic Longjing, like I don't even understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like I'm actually at farms that I mean we spent time in Longjing. I've been at farms that clearly use pesticides. They don't even say that they don't use pesticides, and they'll certify their teas as organic, but used pesticides. And then they'll be like, no, you don't understand. Like the pesticide, the pesticide just sits on the outside of the leaf. It doesn't actually go into the plant. And you're like, well, it kind of does. I mean, they're like, yeah, it just washes off in the rain. Yeah, it washes off into the rain, into the soil, into the roots, and then up into the plant. And they're like, you don't know anything about how tea works. And I'm like, okay, all right, but it's tough. Like Longjing is pretty low altitude. It's low altitude. It's only a couple hundred feet above sea level. It's really hot. It's really humid there, and bugs are rampant, and they will absolutely devour a tea forest and or a tea garden. They don't have forests in Longjing, and so they do all sorts of things, to try, they'll hang out, like sticky things to attract the bugs. They'll have a bunch of, like neon lamps going at night, trying to like shock and kill all the bugs, and still it can just devastate a harvest. So it's hard to really tell them what they can and can't do. But so they end up just using pesticides and just kind of like wink, nod, like figuring it out when it comes to the regulatory stuff. But it's one of the advantages like Yunnan has. Like most of the pu'er tea that we get is all produced like above 5,000 and 6,000 feet. You know, it's just like bugs don't like it as much as altitude. I mean, there's some concerns about bugs, but a lot of the tea farmers that we work with really don't, when it comes down to it, find the need to use pesticides or I mean, the temptation is certainly there, but it's far more tempting to use fertilizers or herbicides. But you know, as long as they're handy with the you know, tilling the soil or, you know, like picking the weeds and stuff, they don't really need herbicides as much. But fertilizers is still a temptation. You know, make your plant produce more. But I don't know. You know, we have conversations with them because generally, it's sometimes, you know, like the tea is often better tasting without fertilizer, but it produces less, but sometimes they can sell it for more because it tastes better. So there's kind of like this balance. But yeah, generally most of the farmers we work with, it's just the pigs and the chicken dropping their poops all through the forest, just free range. That's the fertilizer that they get. Ty, bit late to the stream. Dark Depths package finally is within Canada. Nice. It's one of the last cakes. One of the last cakes out there. Dark Depths is gone. Hoping to try it within the next few weeks. Oh, good. I hope it gets through customs easily and is to you very quickly. That's my March wish for you. Lucy's favorite Crimson Lotus Tea shows: Old Warrior, Lucky Cloud, Ironforge, Black Gold, and Stormbreakers. That's all of them. Just buy all of them. Lucy, have you had This Is the Way? Have you had The Way yet? Have you tried that show? Let's see, what are we at? Miss Catstein and Lucy Wu. Yes, you guys are more or less neighbors without revealing anybody's privacy restrictions. You guys live fairly close to each other, both South Sound tea lovers. Yes, Miss Catstein, I miss getting meat pies. I really miss the Australian Pie Company. I wish there was one much closer to us up here, but love it. So good. So good. Ruben K., how do you politely decline bad tea without insulting the guy? I don't know. I generally kind of just like fumble through it awkwardly. You know, it's not a big problem. You know, you can just be like, hey man, like I don't know if I'm really feeling this tea, or like, you know, you can be like, well, do you have anything that's like this, or like I'm looking for something more like that, you know, or they're fairly pragmatic about it. I think they're there to try and like show you what they've got and try and find something that fits your need, and if something's not working right, you can just try and slide into the next tea or something like that. Zeoxio, bribery is rampant in China. Organic means nothing. Pretty much. Yeah, it's an awkward conversation to have, and you know, run a fine line, you know, discussing it sometimes, which is awkward. Ruben K., have you tried to calculate the weight of tea a person would need for his lifetime? Tea per person per year, not including parties. That's a funny thing. It's like, you know, you see those companies, it's like, hey, we're going to give you like free Coca-Cola for a year, free, you know, like hamburgers for a year, free Big Macs for a year. And then what that works out to be is just like, you know, like, oh, like 1 6-pack of Coke a week for a year. It's just like, well, you know, like, is that really like a year's supply? Well, shoot, you could do the rough math. Average lifespan, average human lifespan. What's the what are we at right now? What are we saying? Average human lifespan is. Average life expectancy. What do we say? 70 years. We'll just say 70 years. But let's say like people aren't going to really start drinking until like they're in their early teens, like seriously drinking tea. you could say that's 60 years. So let's say 60 years worth of tea drinking, and say let's say you want to drink like two nice teas per year, right? So that's, or 2 nice teas per day, let's say. So let's say you're doing a gong fu, 10 grams per session. So what are we talking about? 60 times, 365. We're gonna just completely ignore your leap years. Times 20 grams. So what are we looking at? 438 kilos. Is that it? My math right? Somebody can double check my math on that. 438 kilos. We'll just we'll round it up to just put it at 450. Maybe you want more than that in a given year or something. 450 kilos. Is that what you need? There you go. 450 kilos is what a person can drink in their lifetime. We have sold more than 450 kilos at this point in time. So I've sold multiple lifetimes of tea. It's kind of fun to think about that. I don't know. Somebody else back me up on that. 60 times 365 times 20 grams per day for 60 times 365. It should be right. There you go. So I've never tried to calculate that, but I just did. Tea Wizard, yeah, there's some pesticides you can use that are certified organic. Yeah, that's the other thing that gets weird. It's just like when you have a pesticide that's certified organic. And the other thing that gets a little weird, and it's one I don't talk about it a lot, but the concept of usable pesticide ratio in parts per million changes politically from year to year. You will have, like, the EU is arguably the standard for pesticide limits, but they'll change, and sometimes they do it politically. Like if they know that there's like there's always like false positives in certain parts. You can have false positives in certain parts per million that will always have a false positive in the tea in certain parts, and so that's why they said it's just like, okay, well, it can't be above like 5 parts per million. But sometimes they'll change that. They'll change the EU standard down to like 3 parts per million. They'll be like, hey, by the way, we're being more serious about this tea. And what it is they're basically just trying to negotiate like better trade rates with China. Because all of a sudden China, like now, like half their tea can't get out because it no longer meets the EU standard. And so they do some like backroom negotiations. Like, hey, we'll tell you what, why don't you give us better rates on like tea coming in? We'll go ahead and bump that back up to 5 parts per million, and you'll be able to sell more stuff. It's like when you see stuff like that, it just makes you feel kind of dirty, because that's not really what you think of